Welcome, 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 one and all. We are back, the Basement Brothers, back in our dungeon domains. It's JD here with my co host, Mr. Mo Money.
Mo to the money. Hello, hello, everyone out there on the interwebs.
Mo Money to the max, baby. We're here and we are just chilling as always in our safe spaces. Uh, Anybody that knows us knows that we like to sit in our basement homes.
Yes, indeed, basement
We,
dwellers we are.
we invite you in to our world every episode with something new.
Yep, 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 yep.
First on the docket today is a segment about social media influencers. Now, this is a not necessarily a current trend, but over the last couple of years, the rise of social media and the internet has basically created what you could call celebrity level uh, people that basically didn't have anything to do with the public or any kind of public persona because of sites like YouTube and social media platforms have now become megastars. In some cases, in the case of somebody like Mr. Beast or some of these guys, literally millionaires and billionaires in some cases. Um, my whole take on it is, and obviously I don't mind this. It's fine that people have got a platform and they've become able to generate wealth and do well with what they're doing. My issue with it is kids today get the wrong idea about how to work and what it takes to actually work and create something, and they basically just want to create fast money concepts and scams that make them the most money and the most popular. And I just think that's incredibly damaging to society.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I don't mind the idea of having, influencers because some influencers are useful to society. There's some folks that are making a difference in people's lives. It's nice sometimes just knowing that there's someone out there that can relate to you and has some information, some content that's of value. My thing is though there are a number of folks that become famous just for the sake of being famous or even infamy. Um, Folks that are actually maybe possibly doing damage to society. You have a lot of young folks that are um, hanging on every word of these individuals and trying to look and be like these folks, and it's a facade. It's not really real. So if you're trying to match something that's not real, you're probably going to come up short. And the problem is with some of these young folks is when they do fall short of this image that's being portrayed, the alternative for them is, depression and, suicide and things of that such. And that's the dark side of this new era of social influencers.
Yeah, I completely agree. The other side of it is because these guys want to generate that look that they have extreme wealth and they have all of this um, uh, substantial basically not just wealth, but they have a lot of things, right? And a lot of it's just fake. They'll generate these things because kids react to the fact that, oh, that guy's got a brand new car, that guy's got $1 million homes. Most of these things are rentals.
Yeah.
Most of these things are complete fabrications. They're if they're not rented by them, they're either rented by a company that they own, so it's all written off as a deduction anyway for a business expense. It's just not sustainable. And what's bizarre about it is instead of kids striving for trying to work towards a goal or work towards being something, they try to get as most infamous and famous as they possibly can quickly, right? So, and they do stupid things to do it, like I'm going to drink a gallon of bleach to become a celebrity type of thing.
Yeah.
That's just bad. I don't see any good of society from that at all.
Yeah, we're in this weird space now when it comes to these influencers, and I don't know how we get out of it because it's become like embedded into our society. I've even noticed a trend where some of these social media influencers are, you know, they go on to have careers in movies and TV shows. So it further embeds them into society because it tells these young people that, hey, if I do this, if I do something really stupid, I remember like Johnny Knoxville and his crew, you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
and those guys started making movies, and it tells these young people, not only can I do silly things and make lots of money, I can do these things and really build a career, maybe have some sort of longevity. And I mean, it's maybe it's okay for the ones that are successful, but for individuals who are pinning their hopes on this type of success, um, and just thinking that it's going to all work out, it's not realistic, and like you said, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, yeah, it just sets a bad example for what you should be striving to do. I mean, you should be working hard. You should be trying to output something creatively into the world and do some good, as opposed to just see how famous you can get. Especially for doing things like we're talking about Knoxville and like Steve O, for instance. Now, there's another guy who's transformed from the Jackass days into doing comedy tours, and he's got a whole bunch of businesses, and I'm happy that he's successful. But to your point, yeah, it's I can't see a kid climbing into a Walmart shopping cart, getting pushed down the side of a cliff, and barely living as a good representative of what the youth should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, I think they should be, you know, modeling themselves after people like you and I, JD and Mo Money. I mean, look at us. We're in our basements, and of course we're not making much money, and our social life probably sucks, but it's real. This is real life.
Obviously, we're safe and we're sound, and that's sometimes more important than having any money, right?
Yes, but you didn't say sane. I noticed you left that part off.
Yes. No, I'm not gonna make any claims about that. We would probably find ourselves in some sort of trouble for making fictitious claims here,
Yes, indeed.
because sanity isn't one thing that we always aspire to have.
Yes, indeed.
Now, another thing we've been chatting about recently, that's super interesting, and it's personally one of my favorite series idea concepts of all time, is it,
That's right. Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call?
Parker Jr. song from the classic movie Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I'm gonna just let that set in for a moment.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to date myself, but I can recall when Ghostbusters was released, the original film, and all of the hype behind it. I loved it then, and I'm still a huge Ghostbusters fan. So it warms my heart to know that the Busters are back. In fact, they have a new film that's going to be released on March 14th called The Frozen Empire. And again, I recall the original film and the Ray Parker Jr. theme song. I recall a second one. I believe it was Bobby Brown had a tune that became a hit that was based on that film. So, I mean, how do you feel about the Ghostbusters, JD?
I can only tell you this: when I was a child, and one of my earliest memories of being a child, because the movie came out right around the time of my birth, about a year after I was born, so I was too young to get involved with the actual theatrical release. But I'll tell you this: this movie came out on VHS, and my mom was actually working at a gas station at the time, and they had movie rentals there.
Yeah,
I rented the original Ghostbusters film practically daily for about a year, because if you remember back in those days in the mid 80s, when a film would come out, it could take 2 years for a VHS release to come out.
yeah.
It wasn't instantaneous like today where you can watch the stuff before it came in. I rented this movie every day, and I actually at one point could recite the entire script verbatim. Like a cast member, I could recite the entire script. So Ghostbusters is not only for myself literally a massive part of my childhood, but as I got to be a little bit older, I started getting into the merchandise, right? I had all of the action figures. I had the car. I had the Ghostbusters it was a fire station. I had
Yeah.
that. I had the clothing. I had the traps that you rolled on the floor. I had the
Mhm.
proton packs. I'm not gonna lie, Ghostbusters was a massive part of my life for the first 10 years of my existence. So yeah, I love that they're reinventing this to an extent.
Mhm.
I was disappointed with the 2016 film, or the one with the all female cast, and it's not just because it was females. I'm not that sexist. Uh, I just felt there wasn't a need to really reinvent the series, and I felt that they could have tied the originals into that story better. But the movie itself was okay.
Gotcha. I have not seen the 2016 film. I heard not so flattering things about it. So I figured I'm not going to ruin my impression of Ghostbusters, and I just leave it alone. At some point, I imagine I will watch it, but have not done that yet. Um, I just recall all of the mania behind Ghostbusters. I remember, the animated series and Slimer, and it brings back great memories for me. So I'm looking forward to the new film. I hope it's all that it's cracked up to be. It should be a great fusion between the old cast and the new cast because this is kind of like they're passing the torch to a new set of Busters now. So I believe Paul Rudd's in this film, the young fella from what is this? Stranger Things. It should be interesting.
Yeah, I agree, and I think what's great about it is that they've kind of moved it back to the original. So the 2016 film, since you haven't seen it, I'll kind of put some spoilers in here. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the film. They have cameos from the original, Dan Aykroyd and some of the original characters from the film, but they don't play themselves. They literally play other characters, which I didn't really understand. What's cool about this film is it's a continuation of the actual story where the original Ghostbusters cast is actually and as far as the trailer I actually seen they were in the film as well. So
Okay.
they're actually not only paying homage to the original cast, which in my estimation was if you look at what Dan Aykroyd did with this thing, because Dan Aykroyd primarily created this series, if my memory serves correctly.
Mhm.
I mean, think of the ecosystem that guy generated with these ideas, right? The
Yep.
merch alone and the films alone, like massive. I mean, they talk about Marvel and all these different kind of Marvel universes and all these different things they've created today. The Ghostbusters literally has its own universe.
Yeah. I think the thing about Ghostbusters that kind of endeared it to people is that although it was a topic that's kind of dark when you think of like supernatural and ghosts and spirits and goblins and things of that such, it never got like really heavy. Like it never felt heavy. You never saw like a major on-screen death of like a main character. I guess the closest to that was I guess this the last one that they came out with. God, I cannot remember the title of it. Cannot remember the first one with the kid from Stranger Things and Paul
Yeah, and
Rudd.
I
It
and
was
that, I didn't see that one. So, but
yeah.
it was weren't they portraying the death of Egon?
Yes,
Is that right?
yes,
Because obviously Harold Ramis actually did pass away, so he wasn't able to be involved. But
yeah,
okay,
and,
I remember hearing about it, but I didn't see it.
yeah, and I think that's the only reason why they had a death in there, which it was just to kind of keep him as part of the cast. And then if you once you see the film, you'll see how that all played out. There was some significance to it, but outside of that, my memories of Ghostbusters are fond, and it wasn't anything heavy. It was something that a family can go and watch and walk away and feel pretty good. And I think that's still something that people enjoy about the franchise.
Oh, I completely agree. And one thing I could say about the film series for the original, and when I say Ghostbusters, let's speak about Ghostbusters one or Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters two specifically, right?
Yeah,
Those are the ones I look as at the canonical films, even though obviously these last two have been involved in the story. My favorite thing about those films, if you look at when they came out and the time they were at, were literally really before modern CGI existed, right?
yeah,
What they were able to do with a film for effects and when they blew up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, just all of these things that they did that were so realistic and ahead of their time at that time period.
yeah,
And I mean, obviously, you can look back to Star Wars and some of the shows before it that had some pretty impressive, matte painting CGI type stuff in their early days. Ghostbusters really was like a superhero film at a time where there wasn't superhero films, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. Superhero, sci-fi, all in one. So modern sci-fi and superhero movies. They owe a lot to franchises like the Ghostbusters. So
Most definitely, yeah. It's one of those things where it's just iconic, and it basically paved the way for a lot of this other stuff. I think a lot of these comic book shows and a lot of these, anything that you've seen within the superhero kind of ecosystem owes a homage to Ghostbusters big time.
I agree. Well, moving off of the Ghostbusters, I could use a little comedy. What do you got for me there, JD?
Well, that's perfect because our next segment's coming up. So I don't know if anybody remembers the classic show for me, which was In Living Color, which featured one of my favorites of all time, Jim Carrey, to
Oh
speak of
yeah.
original comedy, kind of original comedy guy. Uh, just watch this clip and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Live from a remote field in Alpena, Michigan, where there's been another Elvis sighting. With me is Tom Carter. Tell us exactly what you saw.
We spotted him in the dumps, and now we got him cornered over there.
How can you be sure this is the real Elvis?
I know the king, and that's him.
Good enough. Get a picture.
I know the kid.
You're not going to kill him, are you? Tranquilizers in him. You've always had a high tolerance for tranquilizers. Prove it. My agent told me not to do this. Can you believe? Oh my gosh, Elvis, why did you fake your own death? There's 3 darts in it, and he's still going. Oh, he's charging! Whoa! Brace yourselves, he's running!
Oh, it's just classic Jim Carrey, like just twisted comedy from the early '90s that it just won't be duplicated.
No,
It's
no.
just,
Jim Carrey, man, Jim Carrey is to me one of the best physical comedians to ever do it as far as film is concerned. I don't know if he's ever done stand up. Maybe he has, and I don't know, but like as far as film is concerned, to me, he's one of the best physical comedians. He knows how to make these great impersonations, and he does all this strange contortions with his body. He really puts everything into his portrayals. And I remember when he was on In Living Color, and he really made helped to make that show what it was. And the thing that I also like about him is like he's a everyday sort of person. I don't think he graduated even from high school. I think he dropped out of high school, and the guy's now sitting here as a multimillionaire. And whenever um, he speaks with more sense and just human decency than a lot of folks with PhDs and things of that such. So I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan. Huge.
yeah, me too. It's one of those things where if you follow his career trajectory, he put his time in, he paid his dues. He was a stand-up, he was doing that on the road. And to speak to your point about physical comedy, he was doing stuff on a stand-up stage that nobody has really ever done. He would do these crazy, basically backdrops where he would like be standing at the microphone and he would just throw his body onto the ground, like behind himself. Which, I mean, he could have smashed his head into the ground. He could have had all kinds of issues, but he was so good and so physical at doing these crazy contortion kind of acts, not only with his face, but just his entire body. That was something that really, I think, kind of propelled him out. In terms of the stand-up comedians at the time. If you remember at this time when he was coming out, you had guys like Jerry Seinfeld, which are a little bit older than him, but they were the guys with wearing a shirt and tie, kind of like a suit jacket. And then
Yeah.
Jim Carrey comes in and just does the wackiest shit that anybody's ever seen. His impressions were really good too. Like he had a lot of impressions on A Living Color that were pretty solid. I mean, he could do so many versatile things. And then comedy aside, when Ace Ventura came out, yet another movie where I memorized the entire script. I could recite it verbatim. It
Yep.
was just that good to me. But what's interesting is he moved from that into theatrical roles that were heavily dramatic as
Yep.
well. Like he's one of the few comedians that can literally play just crazy dramatic roles that from a great acting standpoint, kind of like Robin Williams, but just a little different because Jim has that I don't know. He has more flamboyance to him, I guess, in terms of like his stretching his physical attributes. Kind of to your point of he can do things that are just it's truly original.
Yeah. I guess the professionals would say he's got range because he can go from a comedic standpoint to be a serious actor. And I think he was like maybe the first time he was recognized as being a serious actor was when he was in I believe it was the Truman Show, and
Yeah, yeah.
he stretched his range a bit and showed people that he's not just all fun and games and jokes. And speaking of In Living Color, that's something else that endures me to Jim Carrey, because In Living Color with Keenan Ivory Wayans and his family, they were
Mhm.
some of the first folks to put him on, onto a big platform and allow him to really be himself and be creative. And he's never forgotten that. He gives them credit every chance he gets, and a lot of these actors will start out in these smaller roles and smaller productions, and when they get big, they literally shun their
Yeah.
origins, they shun their beginnings, and he's never done that. And I like that about him.
And that's super smart too. And when you speak about In Living Color, because how great groundbreaking was In Living Color, just immense, right? Like that show for me, once again, being a child, that I never missed an episode of that show.
Yeah,
Literally never missed it. As well for Fox at the time. If you look at Fox as a broadcasting network,
yeah,
it was the one. I remember when Fox came around, and this is prior to all of the political bias connections between the CNNs and your Foxes, where everybody's got a tie-in somewhere. This is when Fox was a new network, when they were just pushing the envelope. Like
yep,
you remember shows like Married with Children,
yep,
and at the time that thing was like super controversial, right?
yep,
Then
yep,
here comes In Living Color. Now look how controversial that show was for its day,
yep.
and
It
that's why it was great.
it was amazing. I mean, look at the star power that came out of there. You're talking about Jim Carrey,
Jamie
Academy,
Foxx,
yeah, Academy Award nominated Jim Carrey, Academy Award winner Jamie Foxx.
Tommy
Uh,
Davidson,
oh my God,
the
David Allen
Waynes,
Greer,
David on Greer. Oh man, you can't get much better than that guy.
and your personal favorite J Lo.
J Lo is one of the Fly Girls. That's right. I
Yeah,
remember when
she's
she
one of the fly
originally.
girls.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Fly Girls and Twist, who was the DJ, and then there was a couple of episodes where Jim Carrey actually played Vanilla Ice on there, which was
yeah,
freaking hilarious.
yeah,
He looked just like him. He could
yeah.
dance like him. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I
Uh,
think my favorite was when he played was it Fire Marshal Bill, I think.
Fire Marshal Bill Burns. I'm Fire Marshal Bill Burns. Let me show you something.
Let me tell you something.
Wow, that really feels like it's still on there, doesn't it? Let me show you something.
Man. So
Dude, I had that on VHS. I had some of the Fire Marshal Bill scenes I would record, and I would just watch them over and over and over, because what a bizarre, twisted sketch that was just so original and hilarious.
yeah.
And everything on there. I mean, the Jamie Foxx. What was it? What was her name? Was it Wanda? What was Jamie Foxx's character in that show where he was like?
I think it was
I think
Wanda.
it was Wanda, right?
It
And
was.
then you had the Mo Money segment,
Yeah,
so
the
so aptly named
brothers.
for yourself there.
Hmm. More money. More money.
Um,
Lots of great memories, man. Lots.
just like I said, that's one of my favorite shows of all time, and I know Dave Chappelle gets a lot of credit for kind of how groundbreaking his show. And Living Color, to me, because it was on a network, mind you, it wasn't Comedy Central, it wasn't cable. This was on a network station, and the comedy they had was perfect.
Yep.
It's one of the best shows of all time. I anybody that hasn't seen In Living Color, doesn't know about it in the newer generations, go back, look it up, look up some of old Jim Carrey's original work, anything by the Wayans brothers, of course, all their movies as well. Damon and both Keenan and Ivory had a huge, immense career. I know you and I both like Glimmer Man with Keenan and Ivory, and our favorite Seagal.
Yeah. My boy, Steven Seagal. Yeah, no, just tons of talent. And it speaks to that era of television, especially with the new network basically going for broke, no holds barred, just kind of really laying it out in a way that, the big boys wouldn't do. It was kind of like just groundbreaking, and they just did things that the others weren't going to do. And I think that created creativity carried over into all of their careers, and they were able to go out and really push the envelope and become the uh, the superstars that they all became. But Jim Carrey is uniquely a star among stars and just a really humble guy. Really, really like Jim Carrey.
I couldn't agree more, man. Well said.
Then we
Now
found
we
out
were
that my daughter has
no, we were talking about comedy and pushing the envelope, and um, we're going to continue down that course of comedy, but this is a little bit different. This one's about the great outdoors, and take a look at this one. Let's talk about it on the flip
No, we
side.
just found out that my daughter has cancer.
I don't give a fuck Let's go fishing. The two best times to go fishing is when it's raining and when it ain't. My wife told me it's her fishing. I miss her sometimes. Sorry I missed work last week. My arm was in a cast. My wife asked me why I spend less time with her than my fishing buddy Mark. I told her because he just gets me.
Oh,
My
wait a
wife said,
minute.
when can we have a date night? I said, how about a bait night? My wife asked me why I'm always sneaking out to go fishing with my fishing buddy Mark. I told her it's just because when I'm with Mark, I feel alive.
Oh, wait a
Sorry
minute.
I didn't answer your call. I was on the other line. It's just that, like, when I'm with Mark, my whole world lights up. My wife said we should be more spontaneous, so I randomly go fishing now. When my wife kisses me, I feel empty. But when Mark kisses me,
Oh,
I
wait
feel
a
alive.
minute.
Feed
Wait
a
a
man a
minute.
fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll sit in a boat and drink all day. I don't even think I like fishing. I think I'm just gay.
That's nice.
Oh man. I found this YouTuber. Actually, it's weird. I found him on Facebook, but I found this YouTuber, and he's got some material that really is really funny. And I picked this one out because I just knew he was going to take it in the dark direction when I saw the kind of the still frame that's kind of embedded on the video. But you know, I'll let you in on a little secret. The part of the country that I live in, folks love to fish and hunt. And I never understood why grown men would go out on a frozen lake and put a house, put an actual structure up, spend hours, days, or whatever it is out there fishing in a hole that they drilled in the ice that they're hoping supports their weight, and never come back with anything. And now I think I know why. What do you think, JD?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's because they're all gay, right? Is that what the concept is? That guy's gay, and that's what. No, sorry. No, I don't mean to be offensive there. Um, no, I think what it really is it's because anybody who's been married will look for any torturous way to get away from their wife. I can speak to this because I also used to partake in fishing and all of these outdoor exercises. Then mysteriously, when I got divorced, I didn't do any of it that much anymore. So I think some of it has to do with just basically trying to get away from your spouse for a while
Yeah.
and maybe enjoy the company of somebody else. But to the point of fishing, I don't, as much as I've done it, and as many years as I've sat on that cold ice at 30 below and listened to it crack below your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't miss it. I don't do it much anymore. But then again, I'm also divorced, so there's no reason to.
Listen, I don't mind fishing, and by the way, I'm horrible at it. I couldn't catch a cold, right? But but I don't know. It's like I just don't get it. And like we've had kind of a warmer winter in the Midwest than usual, and what's happened is that the ice is thin. It took a while before we even had ice to begin with. But then when we got it, it wasn't really thick. So you still had these folks that were going out and taking their trucks and going out and I can't tell you how many stories I've seen over this winter where trucks are just sinking through the ice. It's just not thick enough, and it's like, what is the urge that's drawing them there? And I'm wondering if it's Mark. It's clearly it's Mark.
Clearly, there's some heavy duty pull happening there that we're not seeing. To the point about fishing, the last time I was fishing is when I was at the strip club and the stripper swang a little bit too close to my face. That was the nearest time I got close to a catch. But yeah, I haven't been on the ice since then. But to your point, I do see people go through every single season. It's like there's trucks and ice shanties and things falling all over through the ice. I don't really get the infatuation with it either.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this helps to explain the actual realities of the great outdoors. Sometimes nature calls and it just keeps on calling because he just didn't know how to quit Mark. So
And then he realized he didn't like fishing at all at the end. He
yep,
could
yep,
care less.
yep.
Uh, uh,
Yes, we. It's an opportunity to just basically talk about whatever's on our mind or share something that piques our curiosity, and hopefully it'll do the same for you. What do you got for us, JD?
yes, indeed. Next segment, free for all. I think we'll go to perfect segue to the free for all here.
Because you came here for a reason. You came here to kick my ass. You came here to kick a coach's ass.
Now, to preface this video, there were some videos going around with a few different clips of people just basically these bullies, so to speak, traveling to legitimate like martial arts dojos, traveling to boxing gyms and or in just gyms in general, and picking fights with people who are kind of unsuspecting. That people, most of them were in pretty good shape, but they were kind of unsuspecting, allowing the bully to just kind of beat the hell out of them.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a side effect of like social media. You know, we were talking about the dangers of social media and the lack of reality. And this is it. You know, folks watch enough social media and stuff on the internet, and they think that they can challenge a guy who's probably spent the better part of his life beating people up. And they think because they've watched a couple of videos, they can get in there and do the same thing. So we're going to let you take a peek and show you what happens when people do this sort of stupid thing.
Yeah. So this guy over here is the aggressor. This is the guy that was trying to, kind of threaten this guy. And this is his own gym. This is the owner of the gym, mind you. This guy trains every day, right?
Yep. We'll just call the guy in blue the victim.
He's the one they're going to need the body bag for shortly.
All righty.
So it all starts in good fun. The guy's come in. He's kind of challenged him. He's been cocky about, I'm going to come here and I'm going to show you because I'm a street fighter. I remember the story behind this. This guy was a street fighter and he was going to show this guy who's just a boxing trainer how tough.
It's your gym. You never
Street
had
fighting
this?
and boxing are two different things, buddy.
You never had this before, brother? No.
Oh, he's going to have it.
Okay, he's got a little starch behind that punch, just a little. He's
The
working
guy's already laughing because he just knows how untrained this guy is. You can see his technique. You know what I mean? Like, and to your point, yeah, he's got some power. You can see in those shots, but you can see he doesn't have any form.
Oh,
So the coach is
he
just,
looks tired already.
yeah, the coach is just sitting there going, "Oh,
That's
man.
one in the gut.
Oh,
that's
one
gotta hurt.
overhand right, just dropped him like a sack of potatoes."
Oh man.
Continue.
Sure, you want to continue?
You stepped in the wrong gym. You can't come to the gym and ask.
Yeah, I think he's having second thoughts right about now.
Come on here. Come on.
Is he walking out of the ring?
He needs a water break already.
Street attitude is gonna get you hurt in the boxing gym. Come on.
Maybe he
let's
just needs a second win. Let's see, Ricky.
Here's a little temple shot there, a little left overhead hook.
Lucky punch. He gets up, then he goes back down. Come on.
He's literally barely slapping the guy at this point. The guy can't even take those.
That's not what the fucking
I
gym
don't
is.
know. The
That's
guy
not
looks
what
like he's had a
boxing
couple of
is.
drinks to me. He doesn't look very
Yeah, this
stable
shit
to
you doing
begin with.
outside on the streets. You do whatever you do on the streets. You
Couple
can't
of drinks
come
are just
down
mentally
here and
disabled.
walk in a boxing gym.
A combination of the
Hands
two.
out when I wanna spar
You
Come on,
walk
get
in
up.
and take this guy on off the
Give
street.
you a chance to throw punches at me.
He's even going to let him try to throw a couple punches. That's how nice he is.
Let's
I'm not
see.
hitting you. Let's work. Come on, I'm tapping you. Let's work, baby. No, I'm
Come
not
on.
hitting you. If I want to hit you, I'll
work.
hit you. Come on. I know
Fun hit you.
Come on.
We've
Come
proven.
on. Let me see what
He's
you got.
tasted that power. I don't think he wants to hit him for real. He's afraid the guy's going to hit him back.
You ain't got no type of work.
This guy's
He has
got no form
horrible
at all.
form.
Yeah, he does. He has no boxing experience at all.
Ain't tough.
I mean, like, he doesn't even have balance. Like, he's just kind of stumbling around.
He's
the
got
ring.
no footwork. He's got nothing.
You say how many fights. Let's work. Hands up because I'm going to hit you now. I know hands up. I'm going to hit you. Hands up. Come on, hands up. Hands up.
Let's go for that smoke.
Hands up.
Just that
You didn't like
midsection
those
shot.
body
Look at that.
blows.
Almost put him on.
You didn't like those body blows.
No, it is. You're in a fucking boxing gym, dude. You can't come in the gym and fucking want to challenge the coach. Come on, hands up if I hit you. I don't want to hit you. I'll take a shot if I want to. Keep your hands up. Yeah, let me see you get that.
Got horrible. That short right hook gets him every time.
That's what fucking challenge the coach. Let's fucking work. Silly boxing, baby.
Oh, that body blow. Yeah, he's done.
He's going to be pissing that out later. I'm not lying. He's going to be pissing that out later.
Oh, did you hear him scream? Ah.
Oh, that's the end of the round.
I just had fucking hip surgery 6 weeks ago. My hips was fucked up. You come in, I knew you was.
That guy is what we would call a jabroni.
Yeah,
Let's just say it what it is. That guy is a fucking jabroni. He
Yeah.
comes into a guy's gym and pulling this tough guy routine, and the guy that obviously trains every day and has enough money to buy a gym and train other people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Gotta respect the sweet science, JD. You can't just be mouthing off because you watch some video, have a couple of Coors Lights or whatever that guy was drinking, and challenge a pro or former pro to a fight. You just can't do that. And
Yeah,
it's
I think I hope that guy for his own safety, right? This guy obviously in the gym was a trained boxing instructor. He wasn't out trying to kill this other guy. He was just trying to help him understand he shouldn't be doing that. I
yeah,
hope that takes that guy out to the streets, and he also understands that if you're out in the street, you could run into any kind of practitioner of any martial art possible, right? You shouldn't be I'm just going to go on a limb and say this. You shouldn't be fighting anyone anywhere. And I'll say this. If Mike Tyson can get knocked out by somebody,
yep,
your chance of getting knocked out by somebody is pretty high.
yep, yep. Well,
You know,
my philosophy is this. I saw some I watch YouTube and I saw this little infomercial on the rat technique, and it's all about you got to fight dirty. Like a real fight doesn't last very long because the average persons they're not going to be standing there fighting 5, 6, 7 minutes. Like it's literally a couple of seconds, and it's about what you can get done. So with this rat technique, the guy literally like takes like a fistful of sand and just flings it in the guy's eyes and just beats the crap out of him. So I'm now actively walking around with sand in my pockets because I'm afraid to take an ass whooping, and I don't carry a gun. So, I'm just gonna fling the sand in someone's eye and hope for the best. Okay.
that's a good point because when you're dealing with people in a street fight scenario, there's no rules. It's not like if somebody's able to choke the life out of you, they will, right? They're not going to stop. There's not going to be a whistle that blows and the timeout happening. So there's what drives me crazy is the fighting. All these fighting promotions now have kind of generated this automatic tough guy mentality from all these people where everybody's walking around trying to get in a fight, but what they don't realize is those fights, as violent and as much as they are full of techniques, in the street there's no technique.
No.
Like you said, if a guy throws sand in your eyes or gouges one of your eyes or pops out one of your eardrums or hits you in the testicles or whatever, the fight is basically over and
It's
you're
over.
going to get probably killed.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. Yeah. No, but again, it goes back to social media. People see these things on screen and they just don't understand what goes into it. They don't see like the before. They see the after. They see this guy, the guy in the ring, the trainer, he's not like overly buff or anything like that. He's pretty slim built sort of dude. But I see that and I say the dude's in good shape. He's probably got pretty good stamina. And if he's
Yeah.
got technique, he can put power behind his punches without actually being a big guy. Because some boxing matches that I've seen, I believe it was like Tyson and Frank Bruno. Bruno was like chiseled, and Tyson just knocked his head off of his shoulders. It was just like muscles don't make you better. It can help you in some ways, but it doesn't make you the better fighter. So I think this guy saw this guy. He figured, you know what, I can probably take him, and he learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah, and technique is obviously huge, right? If you study something for a long period of time, you're going to have technique and form down. That's going to be a big part of the denominator to winning something. The second part to your point too is those guys train extensively to have the stamina to be just standing in a ring and holding your arms up for 3 minutes without even doing anything is going to pretty much wear out a normal person,
Yeah,
right? So
I
it's like the stamina you've got to build that stamina over long periods of time, and most people don't. That's why you see these guys in these street fights and they're gassed out in what 30 seconds sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been to boxing gyms before, and they'll have you kind of work in a circuit where you'll work a bag, and you'll punch on the mitts or something like that. Someone holding mitts, and you're doing these different techniques, and it's like 3-minute rounds, and you get like maybe a minute to rest and catch your breath, and then you're right back at it, and that's without someone actually hitting you. Now imagine someone's hitting you for those 3 minutes, and then you're trying to catch your breath and
Yeah,
come
the
up with a
adrenaline.
game plan. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the
like
adrenaline alone is gonna if you can't calm the adrenaline, you're gonna lose your breath so quickly
yeah,
as
no,
well.
I've got a lot of respect for boxers, even the ones that don't win a whole lot. You got to respect the craft and what people put into it. And you can't look at the average boxer who's getting beat up in the ring and say, "Oh, I think I could take him." No, the average boxer would knock your block off. So,
Oh, completely. And yeah, they don't get the respect they deserve anymore because everybody's so MMA bound. But to tell you what, there's no joke. You watch some of these guys try to cross over into boxing from MMA where they don't have all the tools they can use, and the boxer will just step all over them a lot of
oh
times.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Well, speaking on working on techniques, I think we're coming up on the end of the show, and that gives me the perfect opportunity to work on my couch crashing technique. I'm going to stretch out on my couch and just kind of kick back and relax. What about you, JD? What do you got going
I
on?
completely agree. The weekend is upon us. It's the perfect time to just lay down, watch a large screen TV right in front of my face for as many hours as I can.
Now, are you going to be watching the TV or are you going to fall asleep and the TV's going to be watching you?
A little of both, probably. It's one of those incoherent dropping out of, basically consciousness and then back to consciousness in between. So then I miss enough of the show where I've got to rewind it constantly.
Listen, I don't know about you, but I'm at the age now where I literally spend maybe a good 15, 20 minutes searching for something to watch. Now, I'm sleepy the entire time, and I find just the right show or movie to watch. And as soon as I put it on, I immediately go to sleep. That's me. That's my
Yeah,
life.
I agree. I think when you reach the age where you have to start preparing heavily to go to sleep, you've reached old age, and I'm there.
Oh man. Oh man.
Well, with that, my friend, Mr. Mo Money, we will ex-nay this episode, and until we see you in the basement again,
That's
it's
right.
Basement Brothers Podcast.
Yes, indeed. Have a good one, everyone.
Take care. Cheers.